Hey there Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. Alright, so in today's video we are going to be exploring the opposition in astrology. We'll be talking about the natal and transit oppositions, as well as oppositions in Synastry. Stay tuned because we are going to get into it. But before we do, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button and click the bell. And if you are interested in booking a reading with me, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find my practical astrology ebooks guide, merch, cheat sheets, all that good stuff. All the links to these products will be in the description box down below. And if you are interested in watching a new video early, ad-free, plus PDF guides and daily forecasts, head on over to my Patreon. And I do want to say thank you so much to my patrons for all of your support. As always, I hope you find this video to be helpful. Let's do this. Okay, so first things first, do make sure to watch the aspects in astrology video for more information about aspects. But just to go over oppositions. The opposition is a 180-degree aspect pointing towards struggle and resistance between two or more planets. Imagine it as if two or more planets are competing in a tug of war. In tug of war, teams pull on opposite ends of a rope, with the goal being to bring the rope at a certain distance in one direction against the force of the opposing team's pull. Whichever team is left standing at the end wins. So think of oppositions in this way. As one planet pulls in one direction, another planet pulls in the opposite direction. It can feel like a battle of wills. A tug of war is a test of strength. And apparently the key to winning is in the legs. Whichever leg leads acts as an anchor. But see here, the opposition is also about balance. It's about cooperation and collaboration. Think also about a seesaw. As one person sits on one end, another person sits on the opposite. Therefore, think of the planets in this way, right? They're going up and down, up and down. As Saturn sits on one side of the seesaw, Venus is over on the other end of it. Up and down they go. And when they are equal on both sides, they balance. So, can the two planets involved cooperate? Can they get along? Can they bring their individual and also their opposing perspectives? Indeed, we might not see eye to eye when it comes to oppositions. You think also about the amount of planets that can pile up or that can be added to an opposition. So for example, Saturn could be in Libra in your chart, but then you've got 4 planets in Aries opposite. Trying to find the balance in this combination, very challenging, quite difficult. Consider also the nodes in astrology, right? The south node, the north node, which aren't planets, they are points. But as the north node leans in one way, the south node also leans in the other way. The nodes show up in opposing signs. And the key to working with the nodes is to recognize that both are important in value. Both have something to offer us. And so, in the case of oppositions in your chart, the same applies. You could very well have the North Node in Capricorn like me with a few planets in Capricorn, which can make it challenging to balance that energy with the South Node in Cancer. Even though the North Node is so much about purpose and our life path and our destiny, right? Essentially, what I'm getting at is balance is key. Balance helps us live a more well-rounded life. a healthier, happier, richer life. And here's something to remember. The zodiac starts with Aries, but what this also instantly means is that Libra comes into the equation, right? Libra jumps into action as well, straight away. Libra is the opposite sign of Aries, reminding Aries about the importance of balance, relationship, collaboration. Aries and Libra are sister signs. They are opposite signs, and they are within the same axis, this Libra-Aries axis. And the thing about opposite signs in the zodiac is they are two sides of the same coin. Take even a look at a coin. It has two sides, but the coin is one. So therefore, Aries and Libra are one and the same. Well, kinda. Because whilst our opposite sign is a part of us, it also isn't. Meaning that whilst our opposite sign is a part of us, an unconscious part of us, our opposite sign is also different from us, perhaps external, but there's a pull. There's an energetic pull, an attraction. We tend to attract our opposite sign. You could even say that we seek out the qualities of our opposite sign. We unconsciously go looking for it. Naturally, this is not so black and white, right? This is a lot more complicated and complex than saying, oh, well, my sun is in Aquarius, and so therefore I'm attracted to all people who have sun in Leo. Woo! The whole chart must be looked at. Even certain people who do not have their sun in Leo, they can showcase Leo-like qualities. Still, what I'm trying to get at here is that this is about the principle of polarity. And the principle of polarity reads, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. And here's the fascinating thing about this. The 7th house in the birth chart is often viewed as the house of the other, but also as the house of the shadow. It involves unconscious parts of ourselves we attract, whether these unconscious parts be things we like or dislike, whether they be positive qualities or negative qualities. And what we can do is we can integrate the qualities located within our 7th. And remember, the 7th sign of the zodiac is Libra. And get this, the opposition has a Saturn-like quality to it. So yes, showing up as resistance, struggle. But Saturn exalts in Libra. And so what this tells us is that opposites are also karmic. They are tied to action and the consequences of our actions. There is much to learn from oppositions in our charts. After all, striving for balance in life is no easy task. Not to mention, planets in opposition can feel antagonizing. We might strongly dislike our opposite, right? They can't be a part of us, no way. We can also point a finger at the opposite planet and blame it for times when we struggle. But what can we do with oppositions in our chart? Well, we can imagine a set of scales. Remember, the scales are the symbol of Libra. So you have a set of scales, and what you do is you set one planet on one side and then you set another planet on the other side. Which planet has more say? Which planet leans lower? Which is higher? This is where things like planetary dignities, day versus night charts can really help you out, which, by the way, I have talked about these in the conjunction video and then within the aspects, degrees videos. But basically, it's about looking at the strength of the planets in your chart. Then it's also seeing if more planets are a part of the opposition, and it's also then looking at other aspects. So all of this is to say, remember to look at the bigger picture, but yes, try to visualize a set of scales, weighing out the qualities of the planets involved, and at the same time seeing how the planets are connected, how they relate to one another, what they can learn from each other, how they compare, how they differ. See how each of the planets influences the other. What signals are being sent from one planet to another and vice versa. You could maybe view this opposition as a telephone, as one planet is on one end of the phone, then a different planet is on the other end, and they're having a conversation. They're delivering facts and information across to each other. Though another way to even work with oppositions is by exploring their symmetry. Think of how signs in opposition, how they're similar. They have similarities. There is also an exact correspondence between their differences as well. Opposite signs can act like mirrors. So thinking about these mirrors in our lives, helping us see what we cannot see alone. But at the same time, it's about addressing the tug of war feeling. Indeed, when it comes to opposing planets in our charts, it is quite the balancing act. Now, there are 6 polarities in astrology, and there are 6 different axes. These are Aries, Libra, the polarity of self and the other, Taurus, Scorpio, the polarity of familiarity and transformation, Gemini, Sagittarius, the polarity of logical thinking and abstract thinking, Cancer, Capricorn, the polarity of emotional security and long-term security, Leo, Aquarius, the polarity of individual self-expression and collective identity, and Virgo, Pisces, the polarity of physical healing and spiritual healing. Keeping in mind that the polarities have something in common, okay? There is a part of each sign in the other, sort of like the yin-yang symbol, how a dot of dark is located within the light, and then how a dot of the light is located within the dark. If any planets in your chart are opposite in these signs, consider the energy of the polarities and what they represent. See how the planets differ and how they relate, how they antagonize each other, but also how they can listen to each other's views and perspectives. Can they see eye to eye? Can they recognize a part of themselves within the other? And can they also integrate the parts they recognize? What this creates within us is greater wholeness, greater balance. And such matters and realizations, they take time. Oh, they take time. They take work and effort, and becoming more aware of our unconscious is a big part of this. And also, just one quick thing before we get into a few examples. Planets may be in opposition in your chart, but in different signs. So for instance, Pluto could be in Virgo at around 29 degrees in your chart, opposite Venus in Aries at 2 degrees. There could be a 3-degree orb then between Pluto in Virgo and Venus in Aries within that opposition. So yes, do make sure to keep that in mind, and then make sure to watch the other videos about aspects and degrees in astrology for more information. I have a playlist available. Right, so let's look at the opposition in the natal chart. First things first, we got to consider which planets are involved in the opposition. Is it Moon opposite Jupiter? Is it Neptune opposite Mars? Perhaps it's Saturn opposite Chiron, like me. The planets involved matter because they show the energies you're dealing with, you're working with. In the case of Moon and Jupiter, this is about your emotions and your belief systems. In the case of Neptune and Mars, this is about your fantasies and your motivations. In the case of Saturn and Chiron, this is about your maturity and your wounds. Naturally, there are many combinations, too many to discuss in this video, but I will act out an example of an opposition in action. And like I said, oppositions can occur between 2 or more planets. But in basic terms, an opposition in your natal chart is more about how that opposition displays your personality and your life's experiences. You will see the opposition play out throughout your life. It's sort of like the natal placements you have. They're a part of you. They are a part of your story, your journey, a part of how you come across and interact with the world. The opposition in your chart can feel like this tug of war, like there is resistance from 2 opposing parts of yourself. It can be challenging to get these 2 parts of you to agree, to see eye to eye, and to work as a team. It can be tricky to balance these energies. Therefore, patience is key. Patience is required. Like I said, there is a Saturn-like quality to oppositions, therefore indicating maturity. It can take some time to truly work with the energies of the opposition. This could be between how you communicate Mercury versus how you see the bigger picture, Jupiter. So whilst you try to communicate what you truly think about a situation, you can't help but also see the bigger picture. Therefore, a tug of war could play out between your logic mind and your abstract mind, between general information versus how you come to understand information. But by working with both of these energies, perhaps you can make for a great teacher. You can be quite open-minded. You can grasp wider concepts so well and communicate them. There is a potential here for intellectual growth. Hi, so I have Sun opposite Neptune in my chart. And the way I experience this is that there could be times when I feel really low on energy and I just need to rest. Times whenever I feel like, yes, I can accomplish so much and I feel alive and I feel pretty passionate and energetic, but there can also be this sort of fog over all of that. And I can be in a place of unawareness as well when this happens. So trying to remind myself that it's okay to slow down, it's okay to rest is a big lesson for me. Just being able to identify those patterns in my life. And then also, I tend to struggle with my sense of self. Often I just don't see myself super clearly. I think I know what I see when I look at myself, or I think I know, what it is that I have to offer and what my purpose is and my potential and everything. But I'm often mistaken or I'm often disappointed. So I'm trying to work with this. I'm trying to really do some soul searching and really looking within myself and asking myself, where are these things stemming from? What is it about my deepest, unconscious that is trying to push through? And so keeping a dream journal is really important for me. Just even making sure that I do all the spiritual things. I have my spiritual practices. And I love to be moved by music and poetry and other people's writing and their messages. Even just being around people who inspire me and who encourage me in life, that is so wonderful to me. And also, you know what? I do enjoy the fact that I can be a dreamer, right? I can be very imaginative and really creative as well when I really tap into that energy. So for me, it's just about recognizing these parts of myself more clearly, right? And trying to really make sense of these parts and to understand them in a way where I welcome them into my life. And I think a lot of that has to do with my self-compassion, just being nice to myself, being gentle to myself. All right, so moving on to opposition transits. So if 2 or more planets are opposite by transit, this means that everybody in the world will see this appear somewhere in their chart. And when an opposition occurs at the same degree, there is a shift in the cycle between the planets involved. So this shift, it can be resisting, it can indicate a struggle, but of course maturity is likely. Balance can be gained and acknowledged. So I will give you an example of this. We have a Saturn-Venus conjunction coming up in the sign of Pisces. So this will be March 2024, and they will conjunct again in Pisces April 2025. But before they do conjunct again, an opposition will occur between Saturn in Pisces and Venus in Virgo, right? Pisces and Virgo are opposite. This will happen August 2024. The opposition will have something to tell us about the dance between Saturn and Venus in the sky. It will be much more challenging. Our values and our relationships will be tested during that time, but it will also be an opportunity to recognize the work and effort we have put in, right? To see what improvements we have made and how we can readjust a few matters too. Maybe Venus around that time will also highlight a type of release. A release on our part. We will consider what we can shed, what we can let go of as Venus continues around the zodiac and joins with Saturn in Pisces again in 2025. Consider how we have new moons and full moons, and how during a full moon we shed, we let go, we release. This is when the sun and moon are opposite in the skies. That release point can be so illuminating, clarifying, rewarding as well. We have an opportunity to look within and to see and recognize what no longer serves us, right? What we wouldn't really like to carry forward anymore, but also what can we carry forward? How, we can reap what we sow. We can gain some reward during full moons. Therefore, when exploring oppositions in transit, consider the path of the planets, consider their cycles, their phases, because once we reach an opposition, we get to gain other perspectives, right? We get to learn from the other whilst also recognizing how the other is a part of the self. Woohoo! But you see, we must also consider your natal placements when it comes to opposition transits. When a transit planet opposes a natal planet in your chart, it can feel like you're being forced to look at something that is external from you. Consider, for example, the Uranus opposition. This occurs in your 40s. This is when the transit Uranus opposes your natal Uranus. For example, you could have been born when Uranus was in Scorpio, and so currently Uranus is in Taurus in the sky, creating that opposition. This opposition has something to offer you about your individuality, about freedom, breaking free, being original, trying something new, right? This could be an awakening time. Now, this can also show up as a midlife crisis, right? So for example, you start a new job, you move house, you end a relationship, you finally take that once in a lifetime trip. It all depends on where this plays out within your chart. But essentially, there is something electrifying and liberating about the Uranus opposition. And even on an everyday level, this could be where the moon, right? So the moon will oppose your natal placements every 28 days or so. So that can be emotionally important for us, right? There's something about the unconscious speaking there. There's something about our memories. There's something about our emotions and our inner world that really comes through during those periods. Now, the other aspects also come into play, of course, but we are focusing on the opposition in this video. Like anything in astrology, we must consider the bigger picture, the greater whole. Hi, so I have Mercury in Aquarius in my chart, and anytime Mars is in the sign of Leo, creating an opposition to my Mercury, this can be a time period when I feel actually really ambitious, motivated, very driven, especially driven when it comes to my passions and just being creative. I feel like I can do it all, right? My mind is on fire, it's lit up. And I also get an opportunity to be childlike and to even tap into my inner child, but doing so through movement, doing so through using my physical body. So that can be really inspiring for me. But there can also be these frustrations, it can feel like there are these inner frustrations where at times I get so annoyed when people are not listening to me, whenever they're interrupting me. I just feel during those times that people irritate me so much, right? Even people who think that they are so special, so entitled, like they matter more, and that really, that gets on my nerves so much. But then I'm also having to learn how to recognize that those frustrations coming from within me, they have something to tell me about what's holding me back, about maybe things that I want to integrate more of, right? So for example, being able to jump in, being able to put myself first, being able to interrupt in moments when I feel really fired up and passionate about things. As someone with Mercury and Aquarius, I can be a great listener, and I can kind of step back and just observe and analyze things, analyze what's being said. But I do feel as if during those Mars and Leo transits, it's like a big push. There is this strong push within me that I feel that just says, come on, like get involved, be active. Yeah, it's sort of like this message of be in the heart of it, and even just let down your defenses. What is it about your defenses that's getting in the way of extending your heart, extending your love and your appreciation and your gratitude for others? So indeed, it can come with its challenges, but I also think I'm learning how to welcome that opposite energy of Leo a lot more during those time periods. Lastly then, let's explore oppositions in Synastry. Now, what I mean by this is when a planet you have is around the same degree as someone else with a planet, but in the opposite sign, right? So let's say Sun is in Cancer in your chart, and then your friend has Venus in Capricorn in their chart. Your Sun is around 22 degrees. Your friend's Venus is around 18 degrees. Your Sun and Venus then would oppose one another. This tells us something about your relationship, how you approach things through different perspectives. You might not fully recognize or like how the other does things. So while Sun in Cancer takes a more sensitive approach, Venus in Capricorn takes a more practical approach. There can be resistance from both parties when you do not acknowledge the other's way of showing up. But by collaborating and by bringing your different approaches and perspectives into the equation, you can perform really well. And you can also hopefully see yourself in the other a little bit. So in the case of Venus in Capricorn, this could be about welcoming in more gentle and emotional qualities. And then in the case of Sun in Cancer, this could be about inviting a great job done, like a great job well done attitude, right? But both are within the polarity, this axis of emotional security and long-term security. Therefore, they can come together as a team, as a union, as a pair. This could also be within then the same modality. So we discussed the 3 different modalities in the squares in astrology video, which are cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And so in the case of this pairing with Cancer and Capricorn, the cardinal modality is activated here within the earth, water elements. The earth-water combo here can be purifying and cleansing. Imagine it like you're pouring water on some flowers and you're wanting them to grow. There is substance, there's flow here. Naturally, cardinal signs are go-getters, and so there is an emphasis on ambition and success within this polarity. And whilst there can be attraction when it comes to oppositions in Synastry, there can also be competition or feeling absolute hatred toward each other. Okay, a war can occur, a distaste for the other. Remember, relationships end. People we love can become an enemy. And so when it comes to oppositions in Synastry, sure, there can be the attraction, the allure, the chemistry, but there can also be this turning off our backs, walking away from relationships, or just not wanting to look within ourselves when conflict arises within relationships. This is where oppositions can be challenging, especially during times when we're not aware. We're not aware of what the other is triggering within us, what they are reminding us of, what they are reflecting to us, qualities which we may dislike within ourselves, even qualities that can be good for us, which can be really positive, but we just can't see them. Qualities that we're not willing to face, we're not ready to face. Therefore, projection can occur, okay? We might point the blame onto someone else as we refuse to look within ourselves. Indeed, oppositions in synastry also show us our shadow. Hi, I have Venus in Taurus and my partner has Pluto in Scorpio, and I want to say our chemistry is very hot. It is magnetic, passionate. I feel the focus, the focus from my Pluto in Scorpio partner, where it's just this all-consuming feeling. It's this feeling of I'm really being seen, as if my partner is looking into my soul. At first, I really struggled with this because I like what I like. I tend to stick to what I know, and I value things that are comfortable. But the thing is that through meeting my Pluto and Scorpio partner, they have transformed my life in huge ways that I did not think possible. There were times when I felt so taken aback, times when I even was super defensive and I didn't want to see what was being presented to me. And there were moments when I was so stubborn and I just didn't want to look. I didn't want to look at my unconscious. I didn't want to look at my fears. I didn't want to look at my repressed emotions. But you see, it's through my Pluto and Scorpio partner that I can also recognize the parts of myself that I can welcome, right? Different parts of myself that I didn't see before. And in this way, I see my strengths and I see my weaknesses and I feel empowered, I feel motivated. Yeah, being with my Pluto and Scorpio partner has certainly opened my eyes, to my greatest potential, but also to a few things that I was denying and I didn't really want to look at because it was a lot. Hi, so I have Pluto in Scorpio. My partner has Venus in Taurus. Since being with my Venus in Taurus partner, oh my goodness, my Venus in Taurus partner will often say to me about how I have transformed their life, but equally I gotta say, just the comfort, the pleasure, the security, the support that has been offered, that has been extended from my Venus in Taurus partner, just remarkable. I'm very thankful. There is this calmness that my Venus in Taurus partner brings, and I instantly then feel more calm. There have been eruptive, explosive moments where we've butted heads, where we haven't seen eye to eye, and we both can be really stubborn and resistant. But because both of us have been there and we've stuck through the hard times as well, and we've both worked on ourselves, we've brought our efforts together. Yeah, I feel very secure with my Venus and Taurus partner. When we're together, just spending quality time, holding hands, being with each other, in those simple, sweet moments, I feel a release. Oh, and can I also just say, there is a sensual connection that we feel, that we experience together, which I adore. And the raw emotions that come out, I just love how honest we are with each other. And there's trust. That trust has been established over a long period of time, and I think that has a lot to do with our commitment to each other. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video talking all about the opposition in astrology. Please let me know if you found this video to be helpful. Did you learn something new? I would really appreciate your feedback, and like you, I am always learning. And I also want to give a big thank you to my patrons over at Patreon for all of your support. And as always, let me know your thoughts and your opinions on today's video in the comment section. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And of course, if you would like to see more videos from myself and you have not yet subscribed, then make sure that you click that subscribe button and also give this video a like if you did like it today. And I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye!